Okay, for construction 2, let's think about how might the price of a ticket and the attendance of a state fair be related. The chart here shows the price of a ticket in dollars and the attendance of a state fair. Let's construct a scatter plot of the given information. But let's keep in mind the key factors that we learned in Investigation 1 when constructing a scatter plot. On the left side of our chart, we have values that correspond to the price of a ticket. I put an asterisk next to the lowest price, which was $10.50, and the highest price, which is $20. So I can see that there's a range of values from 10 to 20. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to use a scale factor of 1, although it would be appropriate to use a scale factor of 2 as well. So on my horizontal axis, I've already marked every 1 for my tally mark, or for my scale factor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every marking represents $1. I want to make sure that I label the horizontal axis. So I'm going to label the horizontal axis price of a ticket in dollars. I want to make sure that the unit that I'm using is represented. So price of a ticket in dollars. Now I want to do the same thing for the vertical axis. So in my chart, I see that the second value, data value, represents attendance. And again, I put an asterisk next to the lowest and the highest value. So I see here the highest value in attendance is 25,000 people, and the lowest value in attendance is 12,277 people. Again, there's quite a range there. I'm going to use a scale factor of 1,000, although 2,000 would still be appropriate. So I'm going to go over here on my chart, on my graph, and I've already labeled the scale factor for my vertical axis. So every mark represents 1,000. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, etc. So every marking represents an additional 1,000 people. And I chose to go up to 25,000 since that actually is the highest value in my chart. I also want to make sure that I label the vertical axis. I'm going to label the vertical axis attendance. It's important to make sure that you label each axis so anybody who's reading this chart can recognize what information is being represented. So we have price of a ticket and the attendance of a local fair. So now we have to recognize that when we have a bivariate set of data, that tells us we have 2 pieces of information. So since we have 2 pieces of information, we can represent that information as an ordered pair. So the price of a ticket being $10.50 corresponds with an attendance of 25,000 people. So I can write that as an ordered pair. So I can use that information and graph it on our scatter plot. So $10.50 corresponds with 25,000 people in attendance. So there, that ordered pair, there's my dot plot that represents that information. The next ordered pair is $15.75 and 23,500 people. So $15.75, 23,500 people. Another ordered pair I have in my chart is $11.50 and 22,477 people. So 22,477 people. And I want to continue that until I have all of my information in my chart graphed on my scatter plot. So I'll show one more. We have a price of $12 for a ticket, and that gave us about 23,000 people in attendance. So 20,000, 21, 22, 23. So I've graphed 4 ordered pairs from my chart. You would want to continue until you have all of your ordered pairs plotted. So we have our graph with all of the ordered pairs plotted, and we can see that we have a relationship between the price of a ticket and the attendance. It looks like we actually have a negative association, meaning the higher the price of a ticket, the lower the attendance. So another thing that you want to do when you have a scatter plot is make sure that you title your scatter plot. So since we're talking about a fare and the price, I decided to name or title my scatter plot, Come One, Come All. So let's just remember that when we are constructing a scatter plot, we want to keep a few things in mind. We want to keep in mind the scale that we're using for the horizontal and for the vertical axis. You want to make sure you use a scale appropriate for the data that you're given. You also want to make sure that you label the horizontal and the vertical axis. You want to make sure that anybody who's reading or looking at your graph can make sense of the information. They can recognize what is being represented. And finally, you can summarize the information in the scatter plot by coming up with a title that kind of represents the information. So those are the key factors that we need to keep in mind when we are constructing a scatter plot.